Hey everyone, it's that Math Magician. On this video, we're going to take another look at absolute value. And again, we're going to see, can we solve an equation that involves absolute value in it? And the answer to that question is yes. Of course we can solve that equation for our unknown variable, but we might have to do an extra step first. So let's go ahead and look at an example that I have written out here. We have 6 times the quantity x minus 8 minus 4 equals 14. But notice x minus 8, we're taking the absolute value of that quantity. So we're going to have to figure out how we can solve this problem when we have a lot going on with this example. Now, if you watched the previous video, you might have remembered that I could just remove the absolute value bars and create 2 separate equations, but I can't do that right away. I can't do that because I'm not at this point where I have some expression equal to some number and it's just the absolute value signs all by itself. That's not what I have at the moment. Notice that I have minus 4 and I'm multiplying by 6. I gotta take care of those 2 terms first so that I can make this equation look like this form. I want it with just the absolute value bars on one side and a number on the other. If I can get it to this point, then I can definitely use our trick of separating it into 2 different equations and solving for x. Now the good news is we can definitely manipulate this equation to make it look like that example. The first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to add 4 to both sides here because I want to remove that negative 4 on the left side. I'm going to zero those out and I'm going to just be left with 6 times the quantity of 8 minus 8, which we're taking the absolute value of, and it's going to equal 14 plus 4. 14 plus 4 makes 18. Notice that now we have a much simpler equation. Not as simple as we can get it, but very close. I think the next thing that I'm going to have to do is that since 6 is multiplying the absolute value of x minus 8, in order to get rid of that 6, I'm going to have to do the inverse of multiplication. I'm going to have to divide both sides by 6. And by dividing both sides by 6, those 6's on the left hand will cancel. And I'm just left with the absolute value of x minus 8 equaling 18 divided by 6. And 18 divided by 6 equals 3. So look where I'm at now. I have an absolute value expression on the left-hand side all by itself, not being multiplied by 6, not subtracting by 4, all by itself, and it's equal to a number. At this point, I can take that equation and I get to now separate it into 2 different equations where the absolute value bars are no longer on the left-hand side, but the only thing I have to do, this is the extra step when you're solving an equation with absolute value, one of them will be equal to that positive number, the positive 3. The other will be equal to a negative 3. And at this point, we can solve both equations for x. These actually end up with very simple equations. I think all I'm going to have to do for both equations is add 8 on both sides. Doing so will cancel the 8's on the left-hand side. And I'll just be left with x equals 3 plus 8, 11. There's one solution. X equals negative 3 plus 8. That equals 5. Our second solution. And there you go. We have solved this equation that used absolute value. First, we had to manipulate it. We had to get it looking the way we wanted to. Because once we got it to that point, then we could separate it into 2 equations and solve for x. It's that Math Magician, and I'll see you on the next video.